Cade Cunningham, the #1 overall pick from the 2021 NBA draft, is a part of one of the biggest conundrums in all of the NBA right now. And yes, I said the word conundrum, but that's the word that applies best to this situation. Because we look at Cade Cunningham, he's one of the best young talents in all of the NBA. I think we can all agree on that. And for me personally, it's not too many young guys that I would draft ahead of Cade Cunningham. If they did some big redraft of all the young players in the NBA right now, there's probably only a handful of guys that I would willingly admit that I'd draft over Cade Cunningham. And I'm being 100% honest with you guys, all bias to the side. I think Cade Cunningham is that special of a basketball player. And the other side of this conundrum is that Cade Cunningham, despite what I just said, he doesn't get looked at as that type of basketball player because of his lack of team success. And that's the conundrum. Cade Cunningham, elite basketball player. When I look at him out there on the court, I don't see too many players that look better than him unless it's one of the more elite players in the NBA that's been in the NBA for a long time now. But outside of that, when I'm watching the Detroit Pistons play and I'm watching Cade Cunningham, I don't see too many guys that's a better basketball player than him. And I'm being so honest with you guys. That's what my eyes see. And I know it's all opinionated, but nonetheless. And then we look at the flip side. Since the Detroit Pistons, since they haven't had team success over these last few years, Cade Cunningham, he doesn't get brought up in any of the conversations that he should be brought up in. For example, over these last couple of years, the ESPN or Bleacher Report, they make these lists. They make a list, top 20, top 10 players, 25 and under. Or the most disrespectful one is the 2021 redraft, and you look on there and you see Cade Cunningham somehow fell out of the top 5. He's getting selected 8th in these 2021 redrafts, and I just think that's so disrespectful. And the media has done such a great job of pushing these narratives of ranking or critiquing individuals based off team success or based off team awards, which just makes no sense. And Cade Cunningham is a perfect example of it. Now, two main guys that they have going ahead of Cade Cunningham in these redrafts, going #1, going #2, going #3. Two guys I see the most is Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes. And this is what I was talking about when circumstances aren't brought up into these things at all. We look at Scotty Barnes, we look at the team he was drafted to, and especially with how good of NBA prospects these guys are. The 2021 NBA draft class is one of the most loaded ones in recent years. But Scotty Barnes was able to go to a team that had NBA champions who, by the way, were in their prime. They got drafted in 2021. The Raptors won the championship in 2019. But on that team, they had Fred VanVleet, who's an all-star, OG Anunoby, who's like right below that tier of being an all-star player. And then they have Pascal Siakam, who is the second best player on the championship team, and Scotty Barnes, who was one of the better basketball prospects in recent years. He was able to go to that. And the same thing with Evan Mobley. When Evan Mobley got drafted to the Cleveland Cavaliers, that same offseason, they acquired Jared Allen, who became an all-star the next season. Darius Garland, who was already on the team, also became an all-star the next season. And then they went and acquired Donovan Mitchell. So Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes, their situations, their first few years coming into the NBA was so much more different than Cade Cunningham's. Cade Cunningham came to the Detroit Pistons, and I'm a Pistons fan, and he came to the Pistons, and we had nothing for him. We had nothing for Cade Cunningham. So I don't think we can compare those. I don't think we can, if we're going to rank things off team success, and I think that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. It's not really fair to rank those guys ahead of Cade Cunningham because they flat out had the much better teams. And me personally, I feel like Cade Cunningham, I feel like he's a better basketball player than Scotty Barnes, and he's also a better basketball player than Evan Mobley. And that's no bias. It's not because I'm wearing the Detroit Pistons hat. It's not because I'm in Detroit right now, but that's just honestly how I feel. Cade Cunningham, he is still the best player from that 2021 NBA draft class. And this upcoming season, I think he's going to be able to prove that. Now, the Detroit Pistons, they didn't have the type of offseason where they went out and now they're going to be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. But I did think they had the type of offseason that's going to finally make things a lot easier for the younger players on this team. And the point of emphasis this offseason for the Detroit Pistons was to bring in more formidable three-point shooters, also healthy formidable three-point shooters, and that's exactly what they did. They went out and they got Tobias Harris, they got Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. via trade. They extended Fontecchio, Marcus Sasser is still on the team. Isaiah Stewart proved that he can shoot the three-point shot. So the Detroit Pistons, they're going to finally be able to put on some lineups out there where they're actually going to be able to space the floor for Cade Cunningham and also Jaden Ivey as well. But before we get into how this shooting and how this spacing is going to benefit Cade Cunningham, I just want to talk about what Cade was able to do last season with no spacing at all. Last year, Cade Cunningham averaged 23 points per game to go along with 7.5 assists, 4 rebounds. He shot 45% from the field, 35% from the three-point line, and 86% from the free throw line. Now, for me personally, although it wasn't accounting to wins, and that's just how bad the Detroit Pistons was, I think these numbers from Cade Cunningham was spectacular. Looking at how he was guarded, you go back and watch his highlights from the 2023-2024 NBA season, none of his shot attempts, or I should say majority of his shot attempts and majority of his buckets, none of them were easy. All of them were very hard, and all of them that he had to work super hard for. And Cade Cunningham, he's one of those players that just make it look easy. We know the difficulty it is for him to get the buckets that he was getting, but at the same time, he was making it look very easy, very smooth. So Cade Cunningham, each and every night, religiously getting trapped, and when he beats the trap, it's 2 more defenders waiting for him. That's the type of coverage that he was going throughout the whole season, with nobody to kick it out to on the perimeter, and then really no other talent to step up and take that load off. He was still able to put up those impressive numbers. So now we look at this season where the Detroit Pistons, and I think him and Jaden Ivey, I think they're definitely going to be the starting backcourt next season, because the main goal is still to develop the youth. And the Detroit Pistons, they want Cade Cunningham and they want Jaden Ivey. They want these 2 guys to work out together. And let's not act like a good backcourt cannot be successful. We can look at some of the better backcourts over the last few NBA years, and we can look at backcourts where 2 guys have dominated the basketball. Look at Chris Paul and James Harden. Bare minimum, they got to the playoffs. James Harden and Russell Westbrook, bare minimum, they got into the playoffs. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, bare minimum, they got into the playoffs. But I do think there are going to be times where Coach J.B. Bickerstaff, he's able to stagger the minutes of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and put both of them guys out there individually by themselves, but with more of the spacing lineup, a lineup that has Malik Beasley out there, that has Tobias Harris out there, that also has Fontecchio out there. I think we're going to be able to see that, and when we see Cade Cunningham in these lineups, I think he's going to be able to showcase how dominant of a basketball player that he is, because Cade Cunningham, he's one of the few players in the NBA where he has total command over the game. That's how good his brain is, and that's how good his skill set is. And we look at Cade Cunningham. There's so many things that make him the bona fide number 1 pick in a lot of NBA drafts. He's 6'7", he's 220 pounds, and like we just said, he has a high understanding of the game of basketball. And we look at Cade. Offensively. He's a 3-level scorer. He can knock down the 3-point shot. He has an elite handle on the basketball, and that's one thing that's really cool about Cade Cunningham. He's 6'7", but he's not super athletic at all, and he's able to create shots. He's able to create shots because he's so shifty, and he's great at handling the basketball. So he knows how to break guys down, get to any spot he wants to on the court. Like we said, he has a 3-point shot. He also has the mid-range game, and I think he's a very, very underrated finisher around the rim. He has shown that he has post game. He can finish with both hands. He can finish through contact, and then also he knows how to contour his body and make the acrobatic layups. Cade Cunningham, when it comes to scoring the basketball, he is the total package. But it gets so much better because he's an outstanding playmaker. And last year he averaged 7.5 assists. I think this year with the new additions and also with some of his other teammates getting better, he could have the potential to average 8+ assists per game because now he has guys to kick it out to on the perimeter who are better 3-point shooters. So, and that's just how the NBA is played nowadays. It's played downhill. You play downhill, you crack pause, you crack open the inside, and then you kick it out and you try to get up as many threes as possible. So now the Detroit Pistons, they're going to be able to play a little bit more style of that basketball, and who better to have at the helm than Cade Cunningham, who is an elite playmaker who can process the game. And I've been saying this since Cade Cunningham has gotten drafted by the Detroit Pistons. There's only a handful of guys that I've seen since I've started watching basketball that can have this type of impact and have this type of control over the game with their scoring abilities, with their brain, and with their playmaking abilities. And some guys I can name off the top. We look at Chris Paul, who's been a master of this. Luka Doncic has become a master of this. LeBron James is the biggest master of this. And then those are just some of the guys that come off the top of my head. I think Cade Cunningham, I think he possesses the IQ and he possesses the skill set to have that type of control over the game of basketball like those guys that we just named. And I'm telling you guys, it's only a matter of time before he starts to showcase this. I think it's going to be next season because now we can put out a lineup where it's Cade Cunningham and then it's Malik Beasley at the 2. You have Fontecchio at the 3. You have Tobias Harris at the 4. And then you have Jalen Duren at the 5. Now those are 4 guys that can knock down the 3-point shot, and then Jalen Duren will be the inside man. And I think that'll be a lineup where, and this is hypothetical, and this will be a lineup that the Detroit Pistons have seen the most spacing in the last few years. So I'm very excited about that. I think Cade Cunningham, I think he's gonna put the league on notice next season. That's how I feel. You guys let me know how you feel in the comment section. That's what I want to talk about with you guys today. So leave a like if you enjoy, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.